Welcome to the Women Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Amanda, the Money Healer, and today's episode is coming from our live webinars where you get to hang out with me and other women entrepreneurs to learn about money mindset, manifestation, and business scaling strategies and get your questions answered. To join us, go to thewomanentrepreneurpodcast.com where you'll see the link to register for the webinars at the top of the page. Can't wait to see you there. Hello, gorgeous NFA money mamas. It's time for a biz breakdown session on the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. So excited today. You all know how much I love to do these sessions. I was actually just having a fun conversation about Zone of Genius this morning with my honey. And, we were talking about all the things I love to do in my business. And I was like, I have a biz breakdown session on my list today. And it's one of those areas that I just love to hang out with people who are listening to the podcast. I love to help. Today we have Catherine Craig on, and I love to help her. And I love that she is willing to come on and help you by sharing her business journey and stuck points so that we can help her break through. So it creates this win-win-win, and I love that. So I'm glad that you're all here. Psyched that Catherine is here. And if you don't know me yet, I'm Dr. Amanda, the Money Healer, and I'm known for going from food stamps to building a six-figure business fast. And it's really my zone of genius to help you break through your unconscious blocks and get aligned in your zone of genius to make easier money in your business. That's what these sessions are all about. If you haven't come on for one yet, go to thewomanentrepreneurpodcast.com and you'll see at the top of the page a spot for a biz breakdown session or for the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast Party. Come on for one or both. I'd love to see you there. All right, let's get to it for today. We've got Catherine Craig on, and she is the founder of Ultra Health and Wellness Coaching. And we're going to talk to her about her business journey and where she wants to go with it and any stuck points I can help her with. So welcome on the show today, Catherine.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited.
So exciting. Yeah, thank you. She's coming all the way from Virginia. I'm in Colorado, so we're this is what's the cool thing about having a podcast. It's like, I get to reach people all over the United States and beyond. Okay, let's play with this question. If I could give you a magic wand to create anything you want to create in your business in 2023, what would that be?
So what I would pick would be so right now I've been doing more of a service base, so with like health coaching, and I would really like to be able to build a library of like different health coaching modules where people could do them on their own time. Like they just go to the website, they purchase it, and then they can work on it as they go. So a little bit of a pivot from where I have been, where I've been doing like just strictly like one-on-one or group sessions.
Okay.
That's a little bit of a pivot for 2023.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good goal. Will you share, is that because what makes you want to do that? Is it because you're not enjoying one-on-one? Is it because the revenue isn't enough? Like, will you share a little bit there?
Yeah. So one of the things with the one-on-one is getting people to like show up for their appointment. So you get like a lot of people that are some people that like make the appointments and schedule the sessions, but then they don't show up. And then one of the things, and then the second thing is so health coaches are a different, like they're kind of up and coming. So a lot of people don't really understand like what a health coach does. Like they know what a nutritionalist does. They know what a trainer does. They know what a therapist does, but they don't really know what the health coaching entails. And it's like a very holistic point of view. So, I have that barrier going. So, but one of the things too is having people to actually want to buy the service of a health coach. And it's a little frustrating because I hear people talking all the time, like, about today that they don't have money for this and that, but yet they're like going to get their nails done. They're eating out 3 times, a day, 5 days a week.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so there's some stuckness around people not seeing the value in what you offer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So that I would say that clarifies a lot, like just in terms of stuck points. So it's people not showing up for appointments, and then people not understanding what it is that you offer, and then saying they don't have the money for it. It's always fascinating because you go like people will always come up for money. Like they will always come up with money for what they value, right?
Yeah.
So like you're saying the nails or, going out to eat. So they see the value in it really clearly. And so they're able to come up with money for it.
Yeah.
And so then a really interesting thing there is helping people understand the value in what you offer is really incredibly important.
Yeah.
And then even them showing up for it is going to be based on that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So will you share now what makes you want to do this kind of work in the world? Like what's the backstory?
So I started off as like a paramedic, and then I got my nursing. And then like right before my 30th birthday, I started having like all kinds of crazy allergic reactions. So I had to like totally navigate this like unusual space of like, what do I eat? Like so I went from totally like candy, cookies, pasta, bread products to like totally none of that, like totally paleo, like making homemade meals and everything. Well, I made them before, but it was more involved than just taking the cordon bleu out of the packet and putting it on the oven, in the oven. And so I started, how to navigate that. I didn't really have anybody to turn to because this is quite a few years ago. And then I noticed like how much better like I felt once I started actually like eating good and like really taking care of myself.
Yeah.
So yeah. So then I really like became into, like I was able to run more and like, just felt better, like more energized, and just a very like, you don't think of like really what you eat, how it affects like your gut, but it's like really nerdy if going into like the whole gut biome and how it affects like your neurotransmitters. There's so much, there's starting to be a lot of more evidence with how that affects it.
Yeah.
So that's how I got it. Like, that's how I kind of like got the itch to be a health coach, just because I wanted to make people feel better. And then also working in the medical profession, as a paramedic and as a nurse, I noticed like a lot of people were taking medicine that they didn't know what the medicine was for. The doctors, like because of the constraints of like the insurance companies, like they can't spend as much time with them in the office. And, nurses at the bedside or even in the office, like we're pressed for time too. And so there's like a whole, even when they're trying their best, there's like this big gap that can happen with being able to have like that health literacy.
Yeah.
And so, being proactive is such a key to so many things, that it was just one of those things like, yeah, like if people could just be more proactive, we have that information available. There's so many, things that like lifestyle modifications would take, would people would become off, they could get off the drugs that they're on, medications that they're on, lifestyle modifications. But when you're stuck and you don't know and you're like a newbie at something and you don't know where to get started, and on the internet there's so much conflicting information. Don't eat eggs, don't exercise.
That's wild. It's so true. So I'm assuming, and you were able to clear your allergies?
I found my triggers. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And so you're good at helping people do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So I found my triggers. It was pretty much, I did an elimination diet, finally got some good allergy testing done. And then so, I still have to be very careful on what I eat because I have an allergic reaction to soy and canola. And if you read,
it's in a lot of things. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. That gives us a good foundation to work with. one thing I'm curious about, like right now, when you find your one-on-one clients, where do you find them, and what do you have a package or a program? It sounds like maybe you're doing one-off sessions. Is that true?
Yeah. So I'll sell, I will do one-off sessions. So first off, do a 30-minute discovery session to find out like if health coaching is like really what they're looking at, or are they looking like for more of a therapy type of thing? Because I'm not a trained therapist. But I can help with like stress management and time management. Um, so I had the 30-minute free discovery session.
Okay.
And then I do offer one-on-one sessions, but I do have a package where it's like a 6-session package.
Okay.
The ones that I've got, most of the ones that I've gotten have been people who know me. And so that know me. And then the others have been like through some flyers that I have like placed in places like physical therapy or other places. I've tried Facebook and Instagram ads, but I have not, like, I would call the people who have expressed interest, and they won't return my call or get anything back. So I'm not, like, the leads haven't been solid.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I'd say for everyone listening, I think as entrepreneurs, especially when we're doing a coaching type business, we try so many different strategies, right? And I often tell people, like, ads wise, unless you really know what you're doing and you have a product or a program or service that's really already selling well, ads can be a huge waste of money, because we think like, I'm going to put something out there and it's going to attract the people, but then we spend a lot of money tweaking. But then we've got to make sure, even if we're bringing a lot of people, that we have something really powerful to sell them to pay for that spend. And so, generally when people are, I would say, have less brand identity built, I don't recommend doing ads for that reason. And so I think it's good that you already noticed that. And it's like, okay, let's stop here. Yeah. So one thing I'll say, there are several things. One thing, I think it's challenging when we have a new business to do one-off sessions, and especially to get people to show up for it. Mm-hmm. I always recommend, when you're pre-6 figures, to have a package or a program and get that really fine-tuned and really focused on a niche target audience, so that you can sell it like hotcakes. Because the easier it is for you to describe to someone what those pain points is, this goes back to your original conversation of like, it's hard to sell people something that they don't understand what the value is.
Yeah.
And so a package really helps people do that. And so you want to have, it's like, I'm sending you to this, we're going through this minimum amount of time program, because that's how long it takes for you to get results. And here are the results. Boom, 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 right? And it's you knowing those pain points and really hyper targeting a very specific, I call them 5-star avatars, right? It's like the person who you love to work with, who you get the best results for, who you're really excited to work with. And you're like, yes, I love getting results for these people, right?
Yeah.
Because those are the clients that become the most magnetic for you, and they share it with other people. And then that's how you start to build a brand identity around it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say a little bit first, just like going through website and thinking about, especially when people say like they want to move from one-on-one into a group, into like a course, let's say, you got to have a pretty big audience to be able to sell enough courses. And so I generally like to tell people, like, first start with one-on-one and get that humming. And then you can turn what your one-on-one program is into a course. Because if you don't have a large enough audience to fill one-on-one, you're not going to have a large enough audience to fill a course. Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't want you to get like, I don't want you to get stuck building something that you don't have an audience for. And then you go, oh no, this doesn't work. And you feel frustrated and stuck, and then you give up. Right.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, given what I see you have going on, who can you articulate your 5-star avatar? Let's start there, because I think that's really important for you to understand what the benefits and the pain points are, so that you can market it more effectively.
Yeah. So I would say, like, my 5-star avatar would be someone who's motivated to, like, they're sick and tired of feeling like crap.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
And then I don't have like a very specific age. I'm kind of seeing like middle, like 35 and up, because that's when like you're getting into like a lot of people have kids, and their kids are starting to get older, so they feel like they have more time to focus on themselves. But I do have a place in my heart for those that have eating disorders.
Okay.
So working, because I feel like that is a very like underserved community, and I am in recovery from my own eating disorder, so I totally like understand, and I've been there and been through it. So so that would be.
So it's an area you have experience and knowledge and expertise in. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's say that first, like, go there. Like that, in my mind, that's the most powerful place for you to go, is because you know how to speak that language. You know the pain points, you understand and it sounds like we are working with women exclusively. Or is it men?
Men are like, I can do both. Like,
okay.
But my clients have been women.
Okay. So let's say, and I would imagine in some ways, if you've been working with women who've had eating disorders or experiencing that.
Yeah, I haven't like personally worked with people who have had eating disorders, but I would like to in the future.
Okay. Awesome clarification. Okay. And I would say, yeah, in that way, it's probably women are a little bit more open to talking about that than men are, I would say. So it's probably an easier path to follow. So yeah, I'd say for you, Catherine, and people listening, always go first with what you know the best, and so it's like, if, for example, on your website, like, I want to help you fine tune the languaging here. So when we think, because right now you have on the pain points, are you tired of being unhappy with yourself, having trouble losing the extra pounds, and feeling chronically stressed? We want to get something that's like hot right there. Like, I like to think of it as like juicy, sexy copy, where you're like, when the right person reads it, they're like, Catherine is the person for me. Right. And so in that way, the more you niche down in the beginning on Avatar, the easier it is to build and the quicker it happens. And so to me, it'd be like, what would you say are if you had the avatar of someone who's motivated, they're sick and tired of feeling like crap, and they might have had a history of an eating disorder, what are their top 3 to 5 pain points that you can articulate that are really specific to them?
Stress management. And because that, like, you find yourself stress eating, you find yourself.
Okay, there you go. Okay, there, I want to clarify there. Yeah. Get rid of stress management, because in my mind, you're talking like 95% of people, right? So use the term more specifically, stress eating, right? Okay. So stress eating. And that's an example when I say, like, what are the really specific pain points? You want to let go of, like, stress management. This could be for someone who works in an office, an entrepreneur. This could be money. This could be kids. This could be food. We don't, stress management is a broad term. And so get really specific. Like, do you find yourself stress eating and feeling guilty about it?
Yes.
Right. See how that taps into the emotional aspect?
Yes, definitely.
There you go. Okay. So let's say stress eating and feeling guilty. Okay.
Yep.
Say that one. And then what's another one?
Not feeling worthy of like being able to take time for the self-care and like exercise that they need, or just self-care. But exercise is such a overall, that's what a lot of people
okay. And then is that something you specifically like to help them with, is taking time for themselves?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like figuring out, like, because if you don't rejuvenate to yourself, then you're gonna like fizzle out. You won't really be able to effectively care for others.
Okay. So it sounds to me, it's like something along the lines of over caring for other people, but not yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. And does that mean, in your mind, is like, are you working with moms often? Or who are the other people they're over caring for?
So it's it has been moms. It's been people in the nursing profession. It's been, or healthcare profession, I should say, because actually all of them have been in the healthcare profession for that I can know of.
Okay. And is that because you know a lot of women in that profession already?
Yes.
Okay.
And then a couple of my others have been, like outside of the actual nursing field.
Okay.
And then their moms, and they're, running around, and then their moms, and they're either taking care of like their kids or their grandkids, or their kids and their grandkids, and then they were down the road.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. So we'll start there. What's another one? So we've got stress eating and feeling guilty, over caring for other people and not yourself. What else? Have you worked specifically with people who have had allergies?
Sort of. I did a one-time session with a lady that her son, that's like 2 or 3, had really bad food allergies, and so it was like, okay, so this is how we take things out of the diet,
like an elimination diet.
Yeah, and this is like, these are things that you need to watch out for because you might think that they're healthy, but they're really not healthy.
Got it. Okay. So it sounds like a wide variety of people. What I'm intrigued by is that you said, you have the heart for working with people with eating disorders. And so I always listen when people are talking about like things they love or what they have the heart for, what they're most passionate about, what inspires them the most. That's always I like to think of it as like a clue toward your zone of genius. And what really fires you up. And that's always going to be the most magnetic to money. And that's really you getting on your way to your zone of manifestation, which I know you've listened to the podcast. So it's like anyone listening, if you go back to episode 3, I talk about those 4 zones. And so in zone 1, you are in manic imposter zone. So it's like you have a lot of fun ideas, but you're not sure what you're doing. And then in zone 2, you're over delivering and undercharging, which means you have a lot of scattered brand identity where you're unclear about who you're working with and who you are and who you serve. And so people aren't sure what you stand for or what your brand is. And so it's hard to send people your way. And then in that next zone, you start to go like, okay, I value myself more. I'm going to start delegating and charging what I'm worth. And I have more brand identity. And then in zone 4, you go into the zone of manifestation, which is like, you're so clear. People know exactly what your area of expertise is. You're magnetizing people easily. Your leads are just flowing. And so, of course, we all want to get to zone 4. And so, on that map, where would you place yourself? I'm curious.
Probably like 2, 1 or 2, okay. Like pretty low.
That's what I was going to say. And let's think of it this way. You're just new in business, right?
Yeah.
Like you're learning. That's how it goes. I don't know anyone who who goes from 0 to 4. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. So you can move, some people move faster through 1, 2, 3 to get to 4. And some people move slower, and that's okay. There's no don't be hard on yourself. This is where we just go like, okay, what would it look like to get some really clear brand identity? And so I would say for you in that place, like, let's get you, okay, avatar. And this is where you want to get really niched because it's very easy to find people when you know exactly who that person is. Because now you go, okay, I'm looking for, to me, I'm like the things you've said where I'm like, if it were me in your situation, I'd go, I'm going to reach out to people in the healthcare field because I have those connections. I know those women. I'm already working with women in that. And I'm going to say, hey, I want to add a package that's specific to women who have been stress eaters. And you could say whether that's eating disordered or not, that's up to you. But it's like, give the exact symptoms. It's like, you don't take good care of yourself and you take care of everyone else. And you tend to be a stress eater and your body is feeling crappy. And, it's like on here, you said unhappy with yourself. So it's like you wish that you felt good in your body and that you want to feel happy and you want to feel good. And I love what you said, in that beginning part, sick and tired of feeling like crap, and when you say that to people, what happens in their mind is they go like, ooh, I know the exact person you need to work with. And so it makes referrals really easy. And it makes it really easy. Like, for example, when you're creating content, even when you're creating that flyer, you have really clear target of who to talk to on the flyer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see where that might have been missing in what you've been putting out there?
I do see where it like sounds pretty kind of like generic.
Yes, there you go. And I think sometimes that's like this heart of wanting to help everyone. And so we go like, I'm going to kind of put a broad stroke brush out there, but then then you don't really stand out, and you need to stand out. Like we've got a lot of people who are helping people with their health and wellness, and we want you to stand out as the premier health and wellness coach for women who've had eating disorders, or for women who struggle with allergies and don't feel good in their body, or whatever it is for you. But you want to get clear in that, like even adding that to your website and having a really clear statement is like, I help women in their 30 years plus, like that's how specific you want to start to get.
Okay.
And that way, when they come to the page, they're like, whoa, she's talking my language. She knows exactly who I am, and I want to work with her. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So in another layer of that, in terms of creating a package, I would think for you, it'd be really great to come up with like a package name and be a little bit, well, I'm going to say I would be very rigid on selling packages. And the reason for that is because you won't have that problem with like people aren't showing up. They don't get what I do, because they're going to have, let's say, a 6 to 12 week program to work with you to completely overhaul their relationship to food.
Yeah. So I do have like a package, and that's the thing, is like people will buy the package and
still not show up.
They still not show up. And I'm like, dude, it's your money. Like, I've gotten it.
Yeah.
But I feel kind of guilty because
that's interesting.
I've gotten it.
Yeah.
You're not coming.
Are you rigid with your boundaries around that? Like if they don't show up, they lose the session?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good. Yeah. That's interesting. That's really interesting. What do you think that is? Do you think it's fear on their part? Is it too busy? Is it
that we haven't been able to like think? And I say we because my husband's like my partner in crime.
Yeah.
Partner, and
yeah.
Is that we haven't been able to figure out, like, was it because it was one of like the start of the new year when I was running like a special, and so it was like a discounted rate. So
yeah,
it was like,
yeah,
or you
want to know how to fix that problem?
Don't do it.
Charge more. Yeah, charge more, because when people value it and they see that they invested in it, they're more likely to show up. And also vet them well. Like I like to tell people this: your success is my reputation, right? So if you don't show up for sessions and then you tell someone you went through my program and you didn't get good results, that's my reputation.
Yeah.
Right. So I got to make sure I'm vetting for the right people to work with, because if I'm not, and they get crappy results, now my brand is devalued. My
true.
status is devalued. And so this is where we can get desperate when we're looking for people, and we're like, I'll take anyone and I'll reduce my rates. And then later it comes back to bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
And so there are two fixes there. It's like charge more, vet really powerfully, and be more exclusive with who you work with. And then it causes them to show up more powerfully, because remember, your clients are always a reflection of you. So whatever money blocks you have internally, they're going to show up in outer representation to show you where your money blocks are.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yep. And I'm sure it's food work as well, right? When you're working with people on transforming their relationship to food, similar stuff comes up, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I would think of it as if someone didn't show up for a session with me, I'd be like, what are you avoiding facing? That's because imagine you were going on a date with someone you really cared about. You just didn't show up for the date. Like, clearly you're sending the signal, either I don't care about you, or I'm scared of commitment, or, there are a lot of things you could read into that.
Yeah.
And so you want to start to question that and go like, and also like, how is my client a reflection of me, and what am I doing to co-create this?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It sounds to me, it's interesting because, like social media wise or platform or expert building wise, like what do you, like big vision wise, what do you see? Are you like, hey, I would be happy with 10 clients a year? Are you wanting to build, like, what's your big vision of your company?
My big vision, I would like to be 6 figures.
Okay.
At least.
Okay. Awesome. So 6 figures plus. So,
Yeah.
Another thing here for you and everyone listening is you want to reverse engineer from that place and go, okay, if I'm wanting to break through to 6 figures in a year, and then my package is, let's say if it's $1,000, that's 100 people, right?
Yeah.
So we want to go, wait, my brain, it's funny, real time. Sometimes I'm like, wait, that's, in my brain, I'm going to make sure I'm right. That's 100 people that you need to work with. And so then we break that down and we go 100 people divided by 12. That is 8.3 people per month. So you need 9 clients a month at that rate.
Yeah.
Right. And so we want to start thinking, is that viable? Is that what I've been creating? Is that what I've mapped out as a package, a program, product, or service? What would I need to change to have it be available at that price point in order for me to give the value for someone to buy in at that level for me to get to 6 figures? Otherwise, it's just a pipe dream.
Yeah. And one of the things is too, and it goes back to like not having that barrier of people not knowing what a health coach does and how much they actually need them.
Yeah. Okay. So I want that in your mind needs to be changed because that's your belief system around it. Like in my mind, I'm like, and here's why. This is where I think mindset is so powerful. I lived in Boulder, Colorado for 25 years. It's like the health mecca of the planet. And everyone will pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars for their health, literally. Like they will pay a lot of money to be healthy. And so it's your job to teach people either you've got to market to different populations where they already are educated on that, or it's your job to educate them because, you're attracting people who are already problem aware or you're attracting people who aren't, and it's your job to teach them. So you got to understand what the benefits are to them of your program. And you've got to start speaking in their language of what's going to get them in the door to start talking to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'd say like, just, when we look at your website, that's where you want to get real fine tuned on that. Because if they're coming and they're seeing like, a lot of people could say they're tired of being unhappy with themselves. You got to dig into the food part and the whole the health. And, when you say health coaching, like either you got to spell it out for them, what that means. If they're coming to you and they don't know what a health coach is, you've got to say, here are the pain points you have. Here's what I bring as a solution.
Gotcha.
Because otherwise they come there and it doesn't mean anything to them. They're like health and wellness. What that could mean a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to make sure that in your marketing, you're really crystal clear about that. So like if you had a 1-sentence statement, and I'll help you construct this, don't feel overly pressured. But it's like if you had a 1-sentence statement right now about what you help people do, what is it?
I help people figure out what they need to do to propel them to their goals.
Okay. So can I give you feedback here?
Yes.
To me, that's like a life coach. That would be, and I wouldn't anywhere in that think about eating or stress. Like that to me doesn't equate to what you have been saying you're doing.
So it might be better to be like, I help people gain a better relationship with food.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. For what result, right? Yeah. Because why does anyone care about their relationship with food?
Yeah. So.
And I would even say it's like, I help stress eaters. People can relate to that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a stress eater. They might like think that when you sit there like, I'm a stress eater. And so you go, I help stress eaters figure out how to change their relationship to food to get what? Like, what's the goal for them?
Yeah. For like better self-confidence and self-esteem.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. You're on
along that, like.
Yeah. You're definitely on the right track here, right?
Yeah.
It could be like, and then here's where you want to do market research and ask your people, if I could give you 1 to 3 results in working with me, what would those be?
Mm-hmm.
right? And you use their language because that's what's going to give you the marketing language, right? What's wild is what we do in business a lot is that we make up ideas in our mind about what people want, and then we sell to that, and it doesn't resonate. And then, okay,
Yes.
you're on.
Something along that, like,
Yeah, definitely on the right track here, right?
yeah, for
It could be like, and then here's where you want to do market research and ask your people, if I could give you 1 to 3 results in working with me, what would those be?
mm-hmm.
Right? And you use their language because that's what's going to give you the marketing language, right? What's wild is what we do in business a lot is that we make up ideas in our mind about what people want, and then we sell to that, and it doesn't resonate. And then you're wondering why no one's coming your way.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of going like, what have I been good already at helping people do? Ask them and get their language around it, and then put that and see what happens. It's wild what changes all of a sudden. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
like, and play with that a little bit. Do you have enough people that you've worked with who you could say, hey, what are the top 3 results that I helped you get in working with me? Could you do that?
Probably.
Okay. So
Probably, like, it's, yeah, well, some of them I've lost contact with, so I would have to.
okay. 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 So do your best to get, some data there.
Yeah.
And then, something you can do, and this goes for you and everyone listening, you can do market research. So you want to be doing market research like this. Let's say you're going to work with your avatar of like someone who's had a history of an eating disorder. How are they talking about their pain points? That's what you're marketing to, right? Because if you know how to help them change their diet and change it sounds like mindset work in a lot of ways, and they're thinking around their relationship with themselves and food so that they can start to feel better in their body.
Mm-hmm.
What are they saying? Like what have you said? What were your pain points when you were stuck in the darkest moments of having an eating disorder? How did you feel? And write all that down, because that's what they're feeling too. And you're steps ahead of them. And that's your area of expertise and zone of genius to help them go like, hey, just take this next step and this next step. And I'll help you go from here to feeling a lot better about your body and reducing allergies, feeling less stressed, stopping the guilt eating, because I know what it feels like to have been there because I struggled with it too. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Awesome. So start there. And now I would say anyone who's listening who's stuck in these ways, like usually we're coaching from a place of healing ourselves. And so it's a path you've been down. And so just go back to the darkest moments that you experienced yourself and write down everything you felt and everything you wished for. That's your avatar, right?
Yeah. And I think I have majority of my journals. So that's like,
Yeah.
You're just like, there's a reason why I save those suckers.
Perfect. Exactly. Yep. And that's your clue to start with. And the more you niche down, the easier it'll be to find your people. And then when you talk to other people and get refreshed, like, hey, here's my focused program. This is what I help women with. Do you know anyone? And start there. And then you can start building your audience. I know your goal for 2023 is to start a course. So it's like, start working with some one-on-one people, because then you'll have the exact map of what to sell in that course. And that's what makes that process easier. And so you got to grow a little bit of an audience first.
Okay. Sounds great.
Cool. Okay. What action step are you going to do after our biz breakdown session? What's the first thing that you'll implement?
So I'm going to reach out to some of the contacts that I still have been with, to find out like what are the top 3 things like I have helped them with.
Okay.
When they worked with me.
Awesome.
And then I am going to pull out my journals and like go back to like that stuck mode that I've felt in, like the dark shadows of the world where nobody understood me.
Totally. Exactly. Because now you get to be the person that understands them. And that's, people always resonate with how you make them feel. And then they look to you to be a guide because they see that you've broken through to the other side, and they're like, I want that, And so it's like, I would look for those stuck points that you felt and use that language again. Then also look for where you've overcome and the languaging you use now. And that's the gap that you're helping them shrink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like when I was stuck like in, well, like even with the food allergies things, I was like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to be able to go to a restaurant and eat again?
Yes.
And like with the eating disorder, I was like, am I ever going to be able just to go to the grocery store and not like, because I was binge eating with like bulimic tendencies.
Yeah.
So I would like go grocery shopping and like buy tons of food, and then the food be gone in a matter of small amount of time
Yeah.
and everything. So it's like am I all, because I was like, stress was one of the triggers, and I was like, am I always going to be like this when I'm stressed? Like, will I just be able to handle stress?
Yes, that's your key right there, right? So it's sharing that with people, and then it attracts the exact perfect person for you who you can help because you've done it, right?
Yeah.
And now then, like, that's it right there. Like, that's brilliant. Go with that. Start there. That'll be your fastest. I'd say it'll be your fastest path to cash mixed with great fulfillment, because you're going to help people break through their stuff that you've broken through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to hear how it goes. I mean, this is so important in the world. I mean, I think it's, just if we think about our relationship with food, I think about it a lot of ways, like our relationship with money. It's about nurturing and care and self-love and worthiness. And it's important. I mean, we eat every day of our lives. And if you're someone who experiences stress while eating, or has been a person who's had an eating disorder or is struggling with one, it's torture. And so, it's like, that's a powerful gift you bring to the world. So I want you to remember that, and then go from that place. It's like, hey, I am water in the desert for someone out there who is starving for my help.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Thanks. So what would be your recommendation for getting, with social media ads not really being the thing, how would you get yourself out there to like, for people to like know your services, like that?
The first step, I would say the easiest, fastest way is direct outreach. And so, it's having a really clear program to sell, a really clear avatar, and then going out. And like the way I started mine and broke through, I went to networking events, and I would have consults with people in person at a coffee shop, and I'd have a conversation with them about what they were struggling with. I'd help them have like a breakthrough on the spot. And then they'd be like, how can I work with you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fastest way. If you're not opposed to that, that's what I always recommend people to start with. If you want to do it online, there are tons of online networking groups. You can do it through more direct outreach. Social media is something that's important to build over time. It's not a fast path to cash. If you want to work with one-on-one people, it's always going to be talking to the people you've already worked with, reaching out to new people, getting exposure, and just being really clear with who you help, because someone in that table that you're sitting at is going to be like, oh, I know someone who needs your help.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's how it starts. And so I always like to help people in those beginning stages, especially when it's like you're newer to business and you don't have a lot of momentum yet. Start there, because the other thing that helps you do is practice talking about what you do and seeing what resonates with people. Because you'll be at, let's say, a networking event, and you'll say they have you often do like a 30-second commercial or something along those lines. You'll be saying it and you'll see people's eyes light up, or you'll be at one where no one will resonate and you're like, oh, okay, that didn't work. And so it gives you practice. And so I'd say start playing from that place. But for you, because you've already had clients, I would go straight to them and say, hey, I have a new program. I'm focusing on this kind of person. Here's the outline of their pain points. Do you know anyone? Like, just directly ask for referrals is the fastest way.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you've had good results with the people you're working with, people love to help. Like if you say like, hey, do you know anyone? Could you help me? Most people are going to be like, oh yeah, who can you think of? And it makes it even easier when you say, I'd be totally willing to write, like if you would connect us through email, I could write what I do so that you can clip and paste that for them so that you don't have to do any work.
Yeah.
Because referrals, I think sometimes the stuck point there is that people think like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. And then they hesitate to do it because they think it's going to take a lot of time, and then they don't do it. But when in reality, they'd love to do it. They just don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So start there. And yeah, I'm excited for you because I think it's that everyone listening, including you, it's like we know what we have to offer, but we've got to make sure that we have it in a way that other people understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thanks everyone for listening. And this is your place to come and just ask questions and hang out with me. And no matter what stage of business you're in, get some insights and perspectives and shout out your business. So that's the last thing we're going to end with. Go ahead and share, Catherine, where people can find you.
So you can find me at www.ultrahealthandwellnesscoaching.com. And then my Facebook and Instagram handle is Ultra Health and Wellness, all one word. The and is spelled out with the website and my handles.
Awesome. Okay. So Ultra Health and Wellness on Instagram, and then ultrahealthandwellnesscoaching.com.
Yep.
And I'm excited for you to like revamp some stuff and then have people go there and be like, I want to work with you.
Thanks. Yeah. And then I do a podcast, and you can find me, Catherine Craig, Ultra Health and Wellness Coaching.
Awesome. It's a great name.
Catherine.
Yeah. Oh, good clarification. Okay. Catherine, say that last one again. So for podcasts, so people can listen.
It's Catherine with a K, Craig with a C, Ultra Health and Wellness Coaching.
Okay. Perfect. So definitely check her out. And like the fun part of the development for you, I can't wait to see what expands as you start to dig more into that avatar and like see the pain points. Yeah. It's going to be a good exercise. Okay. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you everyone for listening. And until next time, I'm sending you big hugs and NFA money making high fives. Thank you for listening to the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. If you want to learn actionable strategies that magnetize money as a woman entrepreneur, go to thewomanontrepreneurpodcast.com to register for an upcoming webinar. These are interactive webinars where you'll get to hang out with me and podcast fans live for powerful lessons about money mindset, manifestation, and business scaling strategies. Plus, there's live Q&A to get all of your questions answered. Again, go to thewomanontrepreneurpodcast.com and click on the button to register for a live webinar now.